But it says, pretty much to this point, I won't get into, we'll put the link in the chat, but basically just saying that an additional 3.5 million homes need to be built by 2030 to solve the housing supply issue. So
you're listening to the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast with your hosts, Paul Stevenson, David Warren, and Greg Campbell. Let's see what's going on in the world of real estate today.
Yes, we are back. We're all here. We're all home. Go time. The Ottawa Real Estate Podcast. My name is Paul Stevenson. I'm here with Greg Campbell. Here with David Warren. Greg, you're rocking the earphones with me today.
Sir,
I like it.
Yeah, I'm here. Jeez. I just got notification on my phone that someone was trying to log into our YouTube account on Windows device. Is it you?
That was me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Trying to find our winner for our 100th episode challenge. I was trying, like, contest, whatever we call it. So we had a lot of people kind of submitting, asking for dinner with Toe Rep, and I'm just going to announce that the winner, which was chosen this morning, is M. Lebrec. You know what? That's too obvious. It's Michael L. So that is the winner, Michael L.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Bad Simpsons reference. So we're back. We've all been kind of out and about. Greg, I know you had a busy weekend, 2 weddings and the agency Ottawa launch, and things have been buzzing. But what's new with you, gentlemen?
Yeah, I had a crazy week. I had we were in Toronto. Max and I went to Toronto for the agency launch party down there, and then they had the launch in the Okanagan, in the Muskokas, for that group of offices, Muskoka, Burlington, Brampton, Oakville. And then we had our Ottawa party on Thursday, which was insane. Big party at re-residence at 101 Queen Street, where we just listed the 3 top penthouses, which are wild. And we'll share we can share a video another time once it's all done. And then we went to Joanne, Sussex to have an after party, which was obviously ridiculous. I got on the decks for a while with Elon, and then Saturday I had my friend Ryan and Audrey's wedding. So yes, it was one of those weeks for me. It was full bore. Let's go. Yeah.
That's awesome. I saw some of the photos of the launch party in Ottawa. Looked fantastic. You guys did a good job setting everything up. I saw even the elevators branded and the stairs going in, the whole 9.
Yeah.
Looked great.
It was really cool. Thanks. I didn't, it's funny, you're at these things and you think, oh, I'll get lots of pictures. I got 0. I didn't take any. I was just doing stuff, talking to people. Didn't even do it. But that's what's important though, is talking to the people. You don't need to be taking photos and posting all the time,
Shaking hands and kissing babies.
Man, yeah.
Kissing hands and shaking babies.
When did you get back, dude?
A week ago Saturday.
Oh, okay.
And then we were actually in Montreal. We had tickets to the Killers this past weekend in Montreal. So
nice.
We came in and we were back out, but it was a great show. So nice to be back in Montreal. I'm back home for a while now. I need recovery.
Yeah,
recovery time.
It's a recovery week for sure.
Yeah. And Paul's back from Colombia. The gang is back. The gang is back.
Yeah, we're back. We're back. I also don't plan to go anywhere for a while. I need to get back into a routine here. Nice to travel, but it's always nicer to come back home, sleep in your own bed, and hopefully have a routine. So we had basically no show last week. We had a couple things. I know Steve was handling some business, and we were kind of on the go, and there was some miscommunications on timing and so on. So we're back this week. We got a lot to catch up on. We will reach out to Michael about the dinner. So congratulations to Michael on winning that 100th episode. You guys did the 101. I wasn't there. 102 today. Couple things happening that we've kind of been alluding to over the last few months, but saw an article recently at CTV that was stating that the major Canadian cities are facing a housing supply crisis. Gentlemen, imagine that. Still a supply issue. So there was a report done by Remax Canada that looked at all the active listings from July of 2012 and then July of 2022, and kind of the 8 major cities. And they basically determined that, because of, I guess, different population growth, household formations, they played a significant role in depleting inventory levels. And they said this is kind of creating mini boom and bust cycles, as we've seen over the last couple of years. I actually, for anyone who's interested, I actually just released an article specific to this CTV finding. If you go to PaulStevenson.ca, I have it on the blog there, on my LinkedIn, and just kind of talking about how on the show we've been saying that, there's going to be a supply issue. I heard you guys actually, I wouldn't say throwing me under the bus, but certainly putting on my plate that this is my prediction for the fall in case it doesn't happen last episode. But yeah,
no, we didn't want to steal your glory. We didn't want to steal your glory.
Yeah,
we were throwing it on you. No buses. Yeah,
I think that was Paul's prediction. But it says, pretty much to this point, I won't get into, we'll put the link in the chat, but basically just saying that an additional 3.5 million homes need to be built by 2030 to solve the housing supply issue. So
I think something that's important is that, because a lot of people, and we get it all the time in comments of, there's people last week even of, us talking about bull market, or that we apparently can control the Ottawa and Ontario and Canadian housing market.
World market.
Yeah, the world market. But some people would say that this article was written by RE/MAX. So of course they're going to say maybe that, there's a housing crisis or anything like that. This 3.5 million homes that were short is actually in a report by CMHC. So Crown Corporation, Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, is the one that outlined that we're short, that we're going to need an additional $3.5 million homes by 2030, which isn't very far away. That's 8 years away, less than. So it really is like, things that we've been talking about that are contributing to this. And it's not just us on Torp saying it, or just people or just realtors or mortgage agents just talking about it.
Do we have a stat for how many homes are built across Canada annually? Because there are numbers. I've never even thought of that until just now. Like,
well, it's not 500,000. Let's put it that way.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. It's the new housing startups. I don't know the exact number, but it's definitely not anywhere near that figure needed.
The last paragraph is what really hit home for me. This is exactly what Dave's been saying. It says, the trouble is that housing development is a slow process, and experience tells us the only thing slower might be government processes. It says, removing barriers and cutting red tape is necessary. A crisis is looming, but the outcome is not cast in stone. There's a short runway to reverse course before the impacts become very real for Canadian home buyers and renters. So yeah, it's going to be an ongoing issue. I mean, right now things have tamed a bit as far as inflation goes. Obviously, with the recent rate hikes again, we've seen. I don't know what inflation's at. I have to imagine it's probably sitting around 7. Yeah.
Last week's figure was 7.
So that's down from, I think, 8.1 was the peak. And we've seen, even locally, gas prices have come down a bit. Things are kind of balancing out, but. I heard on the radio this morning, listening to the radio, I heard on the radio this morning that the average household income you need is about 130 to 135,000 to qualify for the average home price in Ottawa. And I know we've been kind of talking to that, but it seems like a very relevant stat considering all these things. And Stephen Hopkins says about 286,000 new homes are currently built each year, according to 2021 data from the CMHC. So they have to double that to get on par with what they think would help solve the housing supply issue by 2030.
And it'll never happen.
One thing that they did, at least in Ontario, a change that was made by the provincial government is giving mayors and I think it was just Ottawa and Toronto recently, when it comes to red tape with building, that a lot of times there's a lot of cogs in the wheel of, different councillors or different departments kind of slowing things down or creating unnecessary barriers. And so they brought in a new rule that gives kind of additional powers to the mayors. And really, they've only assigned it to Toronto and Ottawa, that they can move things ahead. So as long as it's not interfering with, certain major parameters, but that they can basically expedite housing startups. And really it's focused solely on housing, because they realize that after a study that the provincial government did, that there are so much red tape, unnecessary red tape, that is slowing this down and causing for this backlog. So it'll be interesting to see how that rolls out, especially that the leading mayoral candidate for Ottawa is against it. And so about having those additional powers for moving housing startups. So it'll be interesting to see how that actually changes anything. Or what
my understanding is that municipal elections, they can't run in a deficit, right? Like they can't run us into a deficit. Like they can't propose things that are they can't just create money like the federal government does.
Yeah. I think they're, to that. They still print it. They still print it.
Monopoly money.
Transport wouldn't be running at a deficit of, 30 million or whatever the heck it is annually. But that's here nor there. Long story short, doesn't create the Ottawa market or drive prices. We're not always bullish on the market, but
imagine if we had that influence.
Yeah, I know. Frig, wouldn't that be amazing?
I know that the comments from these guys on that last episode were pretty funny.
Yeah, but this is all to say that there are even crown corporations, government identifying that there is a lack of supply. Yes, there are houses sitting on the market right now, but to Greg's reply to one of the commenters last week is that a lot of those properties aren't presentable. They're priced incorrectly. Yes, the market is a little bit slower because of interest rates being up, but that's solely right now due to interest rates being up, and that's driving the rental market. And the rental market is, prices are being driven up there as far as, demanding higher rents than ever before, because people are just sitting on the sidelines waiting for the magical prices to be low and interest rates to be low. So we'll see how that changes as we move forward.
Yeah, and speaking to that, the other thing I wanted to say is that I received a link, actually, an email, an article, right before we came online from Canadian Mortgage Trends that was saying that the big banks have hiked their short-term fixed money because of exactly what we've been saying, is that everyone was going variable. Variable rates started to go up pretty dramatically. So the advice by us and most advisors, I would imagine, is to kind of take short-term fixed or stick with the variable so you can break it. But short-term fixed somewhere between 1 and 3 years. And in the last, I think it said from March to July, the short-term fixed rates have gone up 40%. Now that's obviously fixed rates have got 5 years have gone up as well. But it's because of the fact that a lot of people are going into the short-term fixed terms. So, the banks are obviously on top of that, and that has prompted them to increase the short-term fixed rates. And yeah, I just found that interesting because it's, you can try to navigate the waters, but, the gods who raise the water levels are still in control,
Yeah. And to your point of the short-term money, I mean, there's articles in the Globe and Mail this weekend commenting that based on where the equities market has been going this past week and everything drawing out there, inflation it's coming down, but still being so high, and the war in Ukraine continuing. So, as far as oil prices and all that still can maintain high, that Canada will hit a recession by the end of this year. And it was talking about not a dramatic recession, but, continuing through 2023. And again, I think that speaks to how others are feeling about the market when they're looking at short-term money, and looking at those short-term rates. I think when you're looking at we've said it before, but when you're looking at a mortgage, look at it that you're buying this house for, 25 years, 30 years, a lot, not just this short 5-year window. Look at other impacts that are driving those rates and look at the historical trends of prime, of where the fixes are, and, look at that short term. Even if the rates are equal to the 5-year, it might still be worthwhile looking at that 2 and 3 year based on us, all the economists talking about us going into recession, where historically they have to then start lowering rates in order to drive spending. So.
Yeah, I put this in the article that I wrote, but when I was in Colombia, I kind of did some research on the mortgage market there, and they their average interest rate is 12%. So our 5 doesn't seem so bad.
12%, and
12%.
and people still buy homes, I'm sure.
They do.
Surprise, surprise.
A friend of mine who lives in Bermuda contacted me about 6 months ago, seeing if I could help him with a mortgage. He lives there because their regular rates, and this is when our rates were 2%, their regular rates are 8 and 9% in Bermuda. Houses are in the millions. Obviously, it's a financial, an island built on finance, but still, rates around the world are significantly higher than here in Canada, and the US is typically 2 and 3% higher than Canada. Even we're very fortunate as far as what our interest rates are compared to international markets.
Mm-hmm. So getting back to local, I know Greg, I think you touched on the last show. I know, again, I wasn't on, but I have heard from other realtors as well that there is many more, I would say many more, because there was none for a while, but many more multiple offer situations. Now, I'm not saying they're going for 40% over asking, but that there are more people looking at the same homes. Is that just on select kind of pristine? Is it like an anomaly on certain homes, or is this on the multitude of homes that are listed right now? Are we seeing less listings?
So I lost one last week. I lost a multiple offer. There was 3 offers. It was listed at $399. It was a condo townhome in Orleans. I think it needed about 75,000 put into it to bring it up to where it should be. Because the nicer ones have been selling around 460, 465, 470. But this one was $399. We went in, we didn't get it. I don't know what it sold for yet because it was a multiple offers with conditions. Ironically, we had no conditions. We still lost it though, because we just weren't high enough. They wanted the money. So, yeah. So, I mean, a lot of the times it could be that, but when you see something that's that much less, I think it was priced perfect for the market right now. So they got offers, you know what I mean? There's still a lot of homes just sitting, doing nothing, reducing prices. And then there's ones coming along that are priced right and they're selling quickly. Like I got some quick stats. Average days on market for ironically for both active, conditional, and sold right now is averaging about 35 days, which I thought was interesting. But what I am seeing is that the active prices is higher than the conditional sales, and the conditional sales price right now is higher than the most recent solds in some markets. So, like for example, in Orleans, we've got a 657 average, and this is all styles of property. 657K average, 600K is the average for the conditionally solds. 587 is the average of the 33 that sold in the last 7 days. So that's quite a difference. That's quite a difference, and that could just be a couple of random ones. Like I said, I didn't, I wasn't trying to get to break it down too much. That's the average, which is what most people base their opinions on anyways. And it's similar in Canada. Lots of active listings though. They're coming out all the time, but there's more selling now. People are way more active than they were over the last few weeks. So from
the number of sales transactions, not new listings, but number of sales transactions, what sort of percentage increase would you say like this past week versus a month ago, like versus August? Like are sales up like a significant portion, 20%, 50, 100, 5?
That's an interesting question. I think we'd be up like month over month.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say we're up at least 10%, if not more than that, maybe even 20. I'm just trying to be conservative here. I mean, it could be even more than that because August was like the slowest ever, basically, right?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if it was even as high as 30, but I'm just looking at the numbers. Like, in August, I'd look at the chart and you'd see maybe like 5 sold in a week. Well, this, Orleans last week, 33 sold, Canada, 36 sold. So, that's a pretty big jump.
So
have you,
I noticed you said that the majority of the homes that aren't selling, you're seeing a lot of price reductions. Is it just people are just stuck in the past thinking that the home's worth more? I mean, they have to be going in with comparables and kind of, you would assume knowing what the home is valued at. Are they just over ambitious, or is it just a matter of like poor advice? Like what's happening? Why are the homes being listed so high?
Well, it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit about the seller wanting more than the home is worth. Maybe the agent kind of agreeing with that for a bit, and then just as long as they agree to do a reduction when it doesn't sell. Like I'm looking right now. Where am I here? Am I back in? I'm in Canada. Like I got in the last 7 days. Last 7 days, I got about 30 price reductions in Canada. It's a lot. 30 price reductions. And interestingly enough, all the homes that sold here, we're at about a 96% list price to sales price ratio, which is, that's great. I think that's still great, depending on, what you're expecting. But there's a lot of properties that aren't getting any showings still. The ones that are a little high are the ones that just don't look that nice. A lot of them aren't getting showings, and they're getting reductions. Like I'll be honest, I got a listing right now. We have our first showing today. It's been on for a week. And it's a great house, but that's just one of those things that happens.
I think now is a great time for people to, I know if we haven't talked about this actually probably in some time, but the Purchase Plus program, like there's still a lot of homes now that are kind of been reduced in price. And I think they get overlooked just because of, maybe a dated kitchen, or washrooms are old. They got the, the beige colored sinks and so on. Or maybe the powder blue toilet. But yeah, though there are programs that can be used through the insurers that allow you money to actually upgrade the value of the property, kind of do some renovations and have that wrapped right into the mortgage. So if that's something that, if you're looking at a property and you're thinking, hold on, this is the perfect home except for the old kitchen and washroom or flooring or whatever, if there's just one or two things that you think need to be updated, there are ways that you can actually have that renovation done, assuming that the supply issue doesn't still apply on that side of things. But you can have the work done, and then you actually get that money back once it's completed. So, and it's wrapped into the mortgage itself. So it just kind of gives you a way to force the appreciation. I think right now with home values being down slightly, kind of putting that money back into the home when home prices go up, it's just gonna, further accelerate the appreciation of that property as well. So something to consider if you're out shopping with Greg or another realtor, and you see a home that looks like it could, great location near the school you want, backyard's great, etc. But it just needs that one little update. Maybe the basement isn't finished, or there's a few things that you want to update. You can do that, and there's some lenders that'll actually allow you to go up to 100,000 now. So there is a lot of flexibility there.
I found that for that program, the past couple of years, because the market was so busy that not many people took advantage of it.
Yeah.
Because they were there was a lot of people wanting to get in flipping homes or buying as investments or what have you. But to your point, Paul, I think now with things moving slower, it gives people time to kind of get some quotes, even before an offer or conditional, where they can get, kind of assessment of of what work can be done. And like you said, up to that $100,000 is you can get quite a significant amount of work done for $100,000, and that's an insured program. So yeah, I think it's a very good point, Paul.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for the next few months, I think there's going to be a big increase in sales. I know, we've said this before. It's kind of looking like a real typical fall market. I think it'll dip down again around Christmas time, but based on what I'm seeing here, I think the next couple of, like October, November, I think are going to be great. Good times to buy, and good for, like you're saying, like we always say, buy a home that you're going to want to stay in. Take the time, look around. I mean, there's so much to choose from now. I went on showings last week with someone from the show, ironically. Another listener who we're working with, Paul and I. Yeah, but we went out, and saw three, and honestly, they were all great. all three properties were great. They were all priced very well. And I was kind of shocked. I'm like, wow, I'm like, why is this home not selling? Like, what's happening here? But I think there's a lot of those that are all of a sudden they're just going to start dropping soon.
Yeah, I think you're going to get a buyer in there that has that same idea. Like, why? I mean, that's why when I bought my most recent home was I walked in and I couldn't believe that it was still listed. It's like, how is this price?
But I know, but it's because there's no sense of urgency anymore, right? And which is fair, but I think there's a lot of homes on the market now that are going to go overlooked and they're going to get missed by somebody who really would have been a good fit for that house just because of the lack of urgency, which is fine. Obviously, you always find something else, right? It's the right house for you when you find that house.
I think there's some concern as well from people I've been speaking with the past week, especially that, people are worried about whether what rate changes are going to be next month. You know, the next Bank of Canada announcement, are they done raising rates? I think I had about 5 conversations this past week with people about, what they might do, what the economy looks like, and them, either wanting to switch from their variable to fixed right now because they're worried about that, impending rate change, or that they're on the sidelines as buyers, waiting to see what's happening, which is going to affect their qualifying if they go up. But I think it's that uncertainty of whether the Bank of Canada is done for the year on raising rates or whether they're going to, increase again, come October. So I think it's a combination, certainly a combination of those, but it'll be interesting to see. If the Bank of Canada has this, strong announcement in October around, and they don't increase, and they say that they like the way that inflation is trending of going down, and they're not going to make any changes this time, I think that'll add put a lot of people back in the housing market that were maybe on the sidelines and fearful of what might happen. Right? But we'll see.
It's such a funny emotional business that we're in. It's like, what do you do? What do you do? And it's the headlines are big. The headlines are big, and it gets confusing. Yeah.
I mean, it's like going back. Like I was looking at it this past week of Bank Prime. People talking about, well, how much further is it going to go? Are they going to continue increasing? What's going on? And we're at 5.45. When you look at the historical back to like even to 2004 and before, where you really do see it's cyclical as far as prime. So I think people don't really realize that we have been this high and within the last 10 years, and it dipped back down. And when you look at that historical trend, all you can really do is look at history, and because history in the financial markets tends to repeat itself and be very cyclical. But looking at that, kind of roller coaster, you realize that it's up right now. But again, like we said, buy the house that you want to live in that's for you and your family, and not based on the rate right now, and have that flexibility built into what you're choosing, because history has shown that the market will stabilize, or there'll be something, and something will happen in the market that they will drop. That's a recession, and that typically is every 10 years there's been a slight recession that is dropped rates, or the 2008 crisis, COVID. Like there's all these other additionals built in that happen to affect it. But really it's very interesting if you go back and you kind of just look at all those rate changes and the historical before kind of jumping to the conclusion of like, this is historically high. The rate at which they're increasing and how quickly is abnormal, but where we are as far as prime is not.
So we were talking about making bulleted predictions. So September 27th, 2022, when this comes out, where do you guys see home values and rates in 12 months' time?
Oof.
So I think by the end of 2022, year over year prices will be up over 2021, and I think they'll be up by anywhere from 5 to 8%. Still, I think the end of the year, my guess is that the market will pick up as far as sales and drive that. I think there will be likely one more small rate hike from the Bank of Canada, but then stabilize. And then in 2023, we'll see the rates come back down because we will hit a recession, slight recession, and that will force Bank of Canada to drop, which will then spark the market back up. And
that's why you predict that the prices will be up, because of that drop in rates.
I think just for me, my feeling is that the confidence in the market when the Bank of Canada will do either no increase or a very slight one in the neighborhood of like 0.25% to 0.5%, but then signal that they're good for the rest of the year and they like the way that inflation's trending down and all those identifiers, and that will put faith in trust and confidence in the home buyers that there won't be any further increases, and that will push buyers back. I think to me, the real thing that from people that I speak to is just not knowing where rates are going or being afraid that they're going up. And they're sitting on the sidelines because of that, because of just not knowing. Those are my predictions.
Mm-hmm. Those are good.
My monthly payment has gone up about 15% in the last 3 or 4 months, just with the rate increases, 15 to 20% on a monthly basis. So it's a big increase for most families when you're talking about, when we're doing pre-approvals and we're looking at their debt ratios. If you increase those payments by 15% across the board, that adds a lot of monthly obligations for most families. So I agree. I think exactly what Dave said. I would say this time next year, a year from today, I'm going to assume from where we are now, home prices will be up somewhere between 6 and 8%, I would guess. And I think we'll see prime probably back down around the 4.5 mark. So probably drop 1% from where it is today. So probably go up a bit. And then I would say next year we'll probably see rates probably mid-year, early spring to mid-year, we'll probably see rates drop back down. So
next spring. Spring.
Yeah.
I'm actually doing the percentage math on how much
and this is us influencing the market for all these.
Because we control it.
Yeah. This is me just turning the dial a bit. Okay, rates this way.
Yeah.
Values that way. We'll just turn the cogs. Turn the cogs on the wheel.
Oh.
Good to be back, gentlemen. It's good to be back here.
It is.
Yes.
Almost 30. Yeah, no, my payments have changed by over 30%. Almost up, like almost 35%.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're all in the same boat, people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also, although of course we do control the market, and we also control how much we pay for our mortgages. We don't have to do what everyone else does, right?
Yeah. Yeah, when rates go up, we just keep our payments the same. We don't. It doesn't affect us at all.
We're not affected at all either.
Yeah.
Let's boost some moods, shall we?
Let's do it.
I got 4 today. I had to come with the fire, especially being off 2 weeks. I know you guys didn't. I'm gonna have to throw some at you next time I'm not on. But I got 4 today. First of 4. I just got fired from the orange juice factory. I just couldn't concentrate.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like that.
It's early in the week. So Sunday and Monday are in a fight. Who wins? Sunday, because Monday is a weekday. The CEO of IKEA has been elected Prime Minister of Sweden. He's currently assembling his cabinet.
I like it.
Yeah.
And last but not least, to the person who stole my MS Office license, I will find you. You have my word.
I like those. I like all 4 of them. I liked all 4 of them, actually.
Yeah.
I like the drums today too, Steven. They came in nice and loud.
Yeah, drum, snare, the whole 9. If you're listening still, thank you. And subscribe. Leave a comment, share, review. Shout out to our sponsor, North Brew Coffee. If you go to northbrew.ca and use the promo code podcast, you'll get 20% off of your coffee order. And we will be back next week, every week, Tuesdays, 10 a.m. We'll be here. Sometimes live on Mondays, but mostly Tuesdays at 10 a.m. And gentlemen, have a great week, and see you soon.
Cheers.
Later.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe because we'd really like that.